Andrew Sherman, welcome to Truckin On.
Thank you.
This is a podcaster's podcast.
It is. It is.
You have a great podcasting voice. I enjoy listening to your Dallas Famous podcast.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
And yeah, we were trying to figure out how we know each other. And I think you're right. I was thinking maybe we met before. Like, I don't know. You seem really familiar, but definitely since I rejoined Facebook last year, we became connected, and I started listening to your podcast. Pete Friedman's episode was the first one I listened to.
Okay.
And that's great because I know Pete from back when I was playing in my bands, and he was the music editor at the Dallas Observer. And it's really cool what you're doing, man. So happy to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's, I got to Dallas 10 years ago, and I didn't own a camera, and I definitely didn't podcast. And that's what I wanted to move here for, was to have a chance to do something artistic, because I lived in Los Angeles and was beating my head against the ground like for decades, basically. I mean, I did some things that didn't amount to anything, but yeah, that's why I came here. So it's cool that 10 years later, people are actually, listening to it, paying attention to what I do artistically. It's kind of, I still haven't quite adapted to the reality of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just consistency, and probably in Dallas that goes faster. It works faster than it does in LA, just because there's less competition, kind of like to a degree, right?
True. Yeah. No, but also, I don't think I knew. It's like work smarter, not harder. But I don't think I knew how to do that then. I was doing what I thought I was supposed to do, but I wasn't ever going the next step or figuring out like another way to look at it, like with photography, sometimes it's me and 5 other people shooting. So I'm always trying to figure out what's the angle that I'm getting and no one else is getting. So it's kind of like the same analogy for the career, I guess,
Yeah. So, I want to talk about that when we get into your career, but I want to go back in time to ages 12 to 22.
Okay.
And feel free to start earlier if you'd like, but just basically adolescence, major events that occurred that shaped you into who you are today.
Sure. Well, I guess it's probably closer to 11, only because I was born in New York, lived in Yonkers till 7, and then upstate New York till 9, and then we moved to Munster, Indiana. Oh my God, did I hate Indiana when I was age like 11-ish. So that's kind of when it started. And I just never thought about, like everybody just was friends and everything's cool. And then I get there and it's like, oh, you said soda. Like, do you mean there was a ice cream in the can? I don't understand. Like, what are you talking about? Pop? Oh, okay. So I'm a freak because I didn't say the word pop. And it was like that for a while. But, luckily, I was just confident, and I just didn't realize that I shouldn't have been. So, I just kind of pushed through that.
In Texas, we say Coke. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
When I grew up, it's like, I want a Coke, but I didn't really. But
Coke wouldn't offend me. Like pop offends me. I don't know why.
I meant Dr. Pepper, but I was saying Coke.
Oh, okay.
It's like crazy.
Yeah. My wife works for Dr. Pepper. So
right
Texas,
on.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a Dallas corporate headquarters.
Indeed.
Right?
Yeah.
Cool. So you're in Indiana.
Yeah. And I'm wishing I wasn't. And the only saving grace was it was a suburb of Chicago. So we were in Chicago land. So I could pretend I lived in Chicago. And then my dad became a theater critic. And so we would go to plays all the time. And I would be in Chicago whenever I could. And then I went to school in Chicago. And if it wasn't so cold, I probably would have stayed. But I could not deal with that weather. So, but I mean, I was trying to be an actor. I'll just say it out loud. People thought I was good looking. So everyone said, you should be an actor. So I was. And then I started playing music too, which really MTV was the thing. And that was about that age too, like 7th grade, where MTV just showed up. And
how old are you?
Like 11, 12 at that point.
No, I mean, how old are you now?
Oh, 55.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Got it.
Yeah. So, so MTV, it's funny because I thought I wanted to be a musician, and I've come all the way full circle. It's like, no, actually, I like making the music videos. So I've directed a bunch of videos. So that was kind of a weird 40-year circle to figure that out. But yeah, I don't know. I just be an actor, be a musician, do all that stupid stuff.
You're doing this in high school?
Yeah, I was in like 30 plays in high school or something.
Wow.
Yeah, I just we had a community theater. So sometimes I'd go from the school play to the community theater play. And the first one my sister was in, that was the only one she was in. So like the thing for those, we'd go out to the diner and hang out till like 11, 12. And then she's the older sister. My parents were like, oh, they're coming home at 12. That's how long rehearsals go. So I was out after every rehearsal the rest of my high school career, but I didn't really drink, so I wasn't getting into trouble like that. It's like that's probably why it happened. Like nobody got upset with anything I was doing, you know.
What instrument did you play?
I sang, and I started with like piano, and I played synthesizers, and then I got into guitar. Well, that's much later, but yeah, I was like writing songs on keyboard mostly and singing, and having so much energy that I was the show, like just jumping around the stage, basically. You know.
Yeah.
So
I went through that, and just there's something about in your youth you just care way less, or I cared way less, I think. I was just at my daughter's school today, and she did a speech in front of the auditorium, and a bunch of her peers did as well. And I was thinking that would make me really nervous to get up there and give a speech right now.
Oh yeah, totally.
Even though we're both podcasters, like I've performed on stage 1 million times. I've been in all the things. I speak at conferences for my real estate business, but still, it's one thing to moderate a panel or host a podcast. To get on stage in front of a crowd and give a speech by yourself is like baller.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Yeah, I was so proud of her, and but I also remembered I would be craving to do that when I was her age. She's 11.
Absolutely. I wanted to be the center of attention. I didn't know how to do it. So anytime I could just get up and read, in class, like the play that we were doing, or the book we're reading, like who wants to read out loud? It was always what I wanted. I just wanted to be the center of attention, I guess,
Do you feel like you've become more introverted as you've gotten older?
Yes, so much more introverted.
Yeah, I feel the same way. And so many people, I'm from Dallas, so I'm here my whole life, and I was super extroverted in high school, and then afterwards, that extroversion morphed into drinking and partying really hard, which was extreme extroversion and just being on stage all the time. And then kind of when that came to an end, it's like the Dow, and I start shifting to the other side, and I see people from high school and tell them I'm an introvert, and they're like, no, you're not. My dad's like, no, you're not. I'm like, yeah, you don't understand. It's weird. So
I can relate to that, actually. Yeah. Well, especially too, becoming a photographer, you suddenly don't have a literal voice. It's a visual voice. And it's funny. I was like, oh my gosh, I wish I'd done this sooner. Like, I feel like I would have probably stayed in Hollywood if I had become a director years earlier or something, but I'm glad that it worked out the way it did. I do love it here. I don't really want to go back, but yeah, it's funny.
So did you go to college for theater?
Yeah. And in Chicago, Columbia, and DePaul, both like went back and forth. And but I got to LA, and then I was like, I'm a musician, I should do this. And so I split my focus pretty hard. And that, I don't know if that's, I know you're going to ask about like advice to your younger self, but I don't know what I could change, because I wouldn't end up here. And like, I couldn't have predicted that. Texas, a camera, none of it was in my, I wouldn't have never, like if you had asked me, and even 11 years ago, it wouldn't have been a thing,
Do you feel super aligned in what you're doing now?
You mean like in the right place?
Like this is just like what I was born to do kind of a vibe?
Yeah, absolutely.
It seems that way.
Yeah, it's weird. It is. But because, when you're the actor, when you're the center of attention, I was like, well, I wouldn't, like, I thought photography is cool, but I was like, I wouldn't put that, because then I can't be the center of attention anymore. But thank God that went away, because I don't want to be the center of attention. I mean, I want to get the credit where it's due, but that's where we can leave it, so.
Yeah. So you moved to LA right after college?
Yeah, I mean, I think I had a semester left, and then I finished, I kind of threw the mail, as it were, so I did graduate. But yeah, I got there as soon as I could. And
where did you move to when you moved to LA?
I went to like a bunch of summer camps. So there was a girl that I had been friends with, and she's like, oh, stay on our couch. And so I did. And like she had a roommate, and like the first week I was there, she's like, I'm moving back to Chicago. So I just took over her place, and then I bounced around. I was in like, 15 different places, which is an LA thing. And then I spent a lot of time in I guess it's West Hollywood, like right around the corner from Canter's Deli. So that was an amazing time, because like that was open 24 hours, and I was a 24-hour person, so I could walk to all this stuff, and it was the center of the city. And then I ended up spending a lot of time in Echo Park too. So
okay.
I was the first white dude on my block in Echo Park. It was all Hispanic before I got there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah.
That's cool. I've always dreamt of living in LA. I love going out there. I have a lot of close friends that live there, and a lot of people talk shit about it, but I like it.
It's cool. It just depends what you want to do with it. Like if you're visiting, it's awesome. You know, if you have friends and you're not at a hotel and you have a clue, it's really fun. And I was there when I was 21. I mean, I was paying, $425 in rent. I mean, it was the best time to be there in my mind. I couldn't. I mean, I partially left because I was like, I don't even want to try to afford it anymore. It's just, why work so hard just to pay the rent? Like then I can't do anything else. So I stopped. I just was like, I'm out.
So you played in some bands.
Yep.
What was the most most important band that you played in?
Oh, I mean, important. I don't know. I mean,
to you, when you look back, this is...
Well, the first band was this band called Anacrane, and it was me and my buddy who passed away. And it's kind of how I found my voice. And, because I realized early on that I was not the best. I was never going to be the best singer, the best guitar player. And so I was like, well, then what do I have to offer? I was like, I have my uniqueness. I have my perspective. And so that's kind of what I wrote. And I think I was pretty good, but I was like writing these dark, moody songs, but had done improv comedy, so I'm trying to be hilarious in between, and it just never really meshed, I guess. And then it became the Andrew Sherman vehicle for 20 years, where people just rotate in and out just behind me. And then I played with Andy Dick. I don't know if it's important, but that's where all the crazy stories came from.
How did you meet Andy Dick?
Well, he went to the same college as me before me.
And he's probably pretty peaking in fame at this point, or no?
No, he was sleeping on my futon. We met at a comedy club, and he was like, I like you. And I'm like, okay. And you have weed? Okay, cool. And then he just moved in. He's like, slept on my futon. And that was before news radio or any of that stuff. Yeah.
Really? So. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. What did he do in the band?
Well, his band, he sang, and it was me. And there was different musicians. It was mainly me and two other guitar players would come in and out and write. And it was very competitive because he had the Andy Dick show, so we were hoping to get music in that. And, he was an asshole with a lot of that stuff. He's probably going to listen to this, but he was not cool about that. But it is what it is, I mean, we're friends still, so.
That's cool to have a celeb in the band.
Well, it was his band. There was Andy Dick and the Bitches of the Century. It wasn't it wasn't in my band or anything.
The Bitches of the Century?
Yeah, well, because we made the band right before the turn of the century. So we're like, hey, we don't have to change the name. It's perfect. Either century, so.
Yeah.
But
that's cool. We played in LA with Slick 57 a few times. We played at Linda's Doll Hut in Anaheim, which is a rockabilly place.
Anaheim. I don't think I saw one. No, I did see a band in Anaheim, but it was not a local band.
It was a really cool rockabilly place that all the rockabilly bands from around the world would go there and play.
That's what you guys were doing.
Yeah, that was our style with Slick 57. But it was just cool to be in LA, and I mean, we're in Anaheim, but we played another show in LA proper, I believe, but just to be there and get to go to the beach and be in that energy.
Yeah.
One of my close friends has some young kids, and his son is a shredding guitar player. And I'm so into mysticism and the quantum field and meditation and energy that I'm like, dude, it's because you live in LA. I think there's just some energy there that you can feed off of when you're around these creative masterminds and you're in the same universe,
There's definitely a different feeling there. And I was thinking about this because I'd lived here for a little while, and then I was talking to someone from California, this girl, and she's using astrology as fact in common conversation. And I didn't think anything. I was like, if nobody does that here, that's an LA thing. Everybody's just oh yeah, retrograde. I can't think of a good example, but it's just part of the vernacular, but it's not, it's just, there's something about it there. Yeah.
Yeah. I have more friends probably from that spirituality world that I've recently become a part of out there than here.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And Dallas is its own mecca for greatness. Sure. Business, I'm in the commercial real estate business, and there's so many legends, world famous legends in that industry, and the oil and gas, of course, and then music. Really, I'm sure there's other things too, but those are the ones that I think of. But there's such a cool music history here, and so much talent, and so many acts too. I think that people don't even realize, like Post Malone, a lot of people don't realize he's from DFW, you know?
There was, like, it was a few years ago, there was a Spin magazine, and it had, I forget who was on the cover. I think it was Khruangbin on the cover. And it had, like, you know, they have all the little, like, sub-stories. Every band was from Texas. And I don't think the person that put that cover together even realized that. But
yeah.
it's like there's a lot of stuff that comes from here, music stuff that's coming that people are really starting to vibe with around the country, the world, you know?
For sure. And it feels like it's really just getting better and better, like picking up steam.
Oh, yeah.
And friends of mine like Chris Holt, who's now playing his show, and he's playing with the Eagles. Like we were playing shows together in 2001, but like even like my generation of friends are putting out their best work and having their biggest shows they've ever had. And that's really cool.
Yeah,
like,
there's a resurgence of
that's wild.
Those guys, like maybe a little bit younger than me, your age, like just coming back around. And yeah, like John Dufalo, there's a few of those people that are like, it's like, you know, Tripping Daisy is back. I mean, stuff like that. It's kind of cool, you know.
We used to drive around our high school and hand out shirts to the kids when they were like back in the 90s, you know, when they were coming up. So that's cool. And then you moved back to Dallas. Did you get married in LA?
Okay. So yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot. Well, no, it's confusing because I was in LA and I met this, I was dating somebody, and then I had a friend in Austin who's like, dude, I'm getting all kinds of acting work. This is like 2007 maybe. And so I moved to Austin for 2 years. Okay. And I surprisingly didn't really like it. For one, it was before Amazon, which means if you wanted something and you couldn't find it, you couldn't get it. So I just felt like, well, that's lame, but it's the same amount of traffic and it's the same rent price that I'm paying in LA. So there's the same bad and one disadvantage. And then it's such a small town. I didn't know that many people. Every day I left my house, I saw somebody that I knew. And it was like, what? That's just weird to me. I've never lived in a place that small, I feel like. So, but mostly I went back. I had a job that was nothing special, but like, and the girl, like we were together for 10 years. We were married for 1. And then, that was the end of that. But I never had lived in Dallas. The reason I came to Dallas, I even knew that it was a thing that was cool, was I was working on a show called the Chevy Music Showcase. And I don't know if you heard about that, but it was basically like these little, it was kind of like reels before reels were a thing. And it would be like 2 bands interviewing each other, and then it would get played in the commercial breaks, like on Jimmy Kimmel or something. And it was like, we had Leon Bridges on. I actually edited the first ever Leon Bridges music video, but nobody knows or cares because the record label's like, can you not promote that? So, but anyway, we had like Leon. We had like a bunch of guys though on that you would know. And so the first year I just edited from LA, and I had this whole, because when you have all this B-roll, and it was like live footage, interview footage, and B-roll, and like that was my only exposure. So like I created all these stories for these people that are not accurate at all. But then the next year I came and was in Dallas, and I the way I look at it is like, I was like, oh, I'm just going to join the circus. I'm not going back. So I went back to what the marriage fell apart really quickly after that. Well, it was already falling apart, but I guess I was like, I have an escape plan, so I'm going to take it, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Where did you move to in Dallas? What neighborhood?
In East Dallas. I was in, like right off the Santa Fe Trail.
Are you still over in East Dallas?
No, I do still own a place, but now that I'm married and we have a kid, I'm in Richardson. So,
okay.
Yeah.
How old's your kid?
She's 9. Yeah. So it's the stepdad. That's been interesting.
Yeah.
You know, luckily I met her when she was 6, so she likes me, but
that's an awesome age.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, you skipped all of the diapers.
They did.
So good job. I got divorced when my son was 2 and daughter was 5. And I remember my son starting kindergarten last year, like 2 years ago. And that's when it's like, oh my gosh, now it's like no more diaper changes. He's a full on little person now, and things get much easier at that age.
Well, yeah.
I love the younger ages, don't get me wrong, but it was being a single dad. There was a nice like release of tension when he started kindergarten and can start doing a lot more things himself.
Sure.
So cool, man. And, what would you say the greatest obstacle is that you've overcome?
Man, it's interesting. I mean, jealousy, FOMO, you know, like when I first started doing it, the photography, I'll just start there just because it's the same with all the other stuff. But I'd be like, oh, why am I not getting called for that? Like, oh, how do I do that? Like, why, that person likes, like, here's a good example. Krungbin hired me to shoot for them a few years ago. And they didn't use one of my fucking photos. They used this other girl, all of her photos. And I was just like, huh, okay. But then and time goes by. I'm like, I just didn't like my aesthetic. I don't know. That's all I can think of. But, I just, it's really hard to not be like, why can't I do what they're doing? They're doing more than me. And so maybe that's what drove me to do all this stuff that I do. But I did come up with a solution for that. And that is when I see someone that I'm jealous of, or I'm like, how are you doing that? I invite them on the podcast.
Dude,
or I become friends with them,
That is it.
Yeah.
I did a whole episode on I kind of looked at everything I've accomplished in life and how did I do it? And it hit me one day in meditation. I did the same process for all these different things. And the number one thing is like, what do you want to do? Be a great photographer. Number two, seek expert advice. So like go talk to those people. And in my younger years, I was pretty good at that, but I also had that jealousy and that competitiveness. And you see it in a lot of young artists.
Sure.
And I mean, still old artists too. I have friends that are still like, fuck this band. And I'm like, dude, like we're all making music, peace, love, and happiness.
Right.
But I get it that you kind of get in that. But in every profession, you go find who's the best at what they're doing. And like, I want to be that person and call them and tell them like, dude, I want to be you.
Yeah, I didn't quite go that far.
I do that. I did that, you know, when I was in real estate, I did.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because I think I just like had learned things the hard way long enough. And it's, when I quit drinking, that's when I did it the first time. And I called a guy that was a competitor and I heard he just like crushed it, man. He like 4X'd what I was doing revenue wise. And we used to work together and I used to outproduce him. And it was right when I got out of rehab. The first thing I did was call my buddy Jim and say, dude, I heard about your year. Congratulations. Can I take you to lunch and let me ask you a bunch of questions about how you did it? And that then that was easy. He's like, sure. Yeah. And here's what I did. Oh, and he gave me like these steps that weren't even on my radar of what he did. And I like put him to work and it's like overnight it's happening. Wow. And now that's why I think now I'm like super like upfront about it, because if I want to go learn something, like I do want to go try to learn from the best, because like you were talking about earlier, it just it improves efficiency so much. And it saves you so much time and struggle.
Yeah, instead of reinventing the wheel.
And then instead of having somebody that you have like negative, envious feelings of, you have a friend who is a master of your craft.
Yeah. So for me, it was a little bit weird because
not always, but
Sure. Yeah. Because I came into photography at like age 45, 46. So it was a little weird. Like I had to get over like, you're younger than me. You're way better than me. I didn't have a lot of trouble with it, but I think the younger people maybe were like, yeah, get away from me. Like, I don't know. It was just, at first it was a little bit interesting. And like I had a friend who was kind of my early mentor and he just got super jealous because it's like I knew how to work and I knew how to achieve goal. Like so like the relationship with the ex-wife, I feel like it happened in my life because I was a man-child before that and I didn't realize it. And she kind of raised me to be a self-sufficient professional adult. And so I thank her for that. I mean, we're still friendly, but so when I got to the photography and I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. At first I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this because I'm not understanding the technical aspect of it. But then it clicked and then I just shot up and he didn't like that. I have a few friends that they just haven't figured it out. And it feels like I can't talk to them because every time I talk to them, it's like I've got something great going on because I just don't stop, But I don't know what that is because I have other friends that are more talented than me and they can't figure that out. It's not just talent, it's like the drive.
I think to also recognize the abundance mindset, like there's enough for everyone. And I feel like even when I see one of my competitors, and I watch other masters of their craft do this, but like you're like genuinely happy for their success, knowing that, and the way I look at it, like I'm happy for your success. I'm glad you just proved to me that this success is possible.
Right.
So now I can go like do my work in a better way to go get there or whatever. But just, I don't know, that abundance mindset, like there's unlimited opportunities in this world we live in.
Yes. And that's going back to the jealousy thing. I finally turned the corner on that to some extent, because I'm like, I can't do all of it. There's no humanly way possible to shoot everything, to be at every event. I still do doubles, but those kill me now, you know? And like that redheaded stranger thing, I did a half an hour at Joe Pool Lake that day for Bug Fest. It was like 1,000 degrees humidity. My lenses are fogging up as I'm shooting. And I'm like, I cannot be out here for long, or I'm not going to make it through the night tonight, you know, because it's just too much physical, you know? So like there's a few people, I even started a publication for myself to get photo passes, and I've been so busy, I don't use it for that. And then I get other people photo passes. So I help other photographers get into shows now, even guys that are just at my level. Like sometimes you just don't have an outlet. So that's just the thing that I do, you know?
That's cool. That was a muggy day on Saturday.
That's the muggiest day that I can remember in this state for sure. And of course I was outside shooting in it.
When did you come up with the idea to do the podcast?
I've been a fan of podcasts since I think the early days. Like I'm not anymore, but I was really into fantasy sports, and I used to like download them and then take walks with it on the iPod, and like I was just into it. But I was like, I ramble and I say stuff that pisses people off, and that's not really who I want to be in the world. So I can't just do a podcast where it's me just babbling. Like I really respect you. Like you did the one that I listened to today where it's just you, and it was just so concise, and it just did not sound like you were rambling at any point. And I just feel like that's not what I could do. But you know, really what it was this, Callie D, she's a person about town, and she's got her hands on all kinds of stuff from different times, but she was working for a minute at Deep Elm Radio, and she's like, you should do a radio show. And I was like, well, I don't know enough bands. What if I do a podcast? And so Dallas Famous was just this thing, like it literally came from like coming up. Fish is going to be in Austin. Are you going to shoot him? I don't know. I'm Dallas Famous. I don't have any juice in Austin. Like I can't shoot anywhere else that I know of. I mean, maybe I can. I haven't really checked it. But so I was like, all right. And then on top of that, that Chevy Music Showcase was all about support local. And so I started hearing all these stories, and we started telling stories on that show. And it's just like the natural continuation of that. And there's just so many cool people in the city that are doing so many cool things, or have done so many cool things, or are gonna do them. And so it puts me in the middle of it without having to, run around to chase it all,
I love what you just said. There's so many people who have done cool things, are doing cool things, and who are gonna do cool things. Mm-hmm. Someone just asked me what my demographic is, and it's like, there is no demographic. Like,
right.
And there can be all of those aspects. I find them all to be equally interesting, whether it's somebody that's just coming up and they don't even know what they're doing yet, and having that perspective, because gosh, those days were so hard for anyone coming up in anything. Yeah. So to hear someone else's perspective while they're going through it, it's still like really like warms my heart, and those episodes like bring tears to my eyes, like in a way that I sometimes don't experience if I have like a celebrity on, and It's like who's a total, but it's awesome.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. It's like at first, I'll be honest, I just was having trouble finding guests or figuring out how to get them. And then I would have people on that like somebody could say, well, that person's not really Dallas Famous. I'm like, first of all, let's get it up front. Like, I am not the authority on who's Dallas Famous. I just have a show that's called that. Like, I'm not the judge. I'm not the crown maker, king maker, whatever you want to call it. Like, I just do this show. So then I'll question myself, like, well, were they famous enough? But no, because like some people I talked to that hadn't had a lot going on have already done stuff since then. In fact, I'm going to do next season, I'm going to do like a catch up episode where I just kind of go through different people and where they're at now, because there's so many. I mean, like Patrick Smith, Patrick Smith, the bass player, he plays in like a million bands, and that episode's coming out this week. Well, it'll be in the past at this point, but And he, like, the whole theme of the show is like, how many bands you play in? 20, 20, 25. Like, what would it take to get
That's
one?
wild.
Yeah. What will it take to be in one band? How that'll never happen. In the time that conversation happened, he's now in the Vandaliers as their bass player. He's not in any other bands. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding? We just, the podcast isn't even live yet, and you've already made it irrelevant in a way. But it's not, because that was his past. So.
That's funny. That's like when I say that I'm not drinking, and then I go on back on the podcast and I'm drinking again, and then I'm not drinking again.
Right.
Like, that's the beauty of humanity, is our free will to make changes.
Yeah.
And I think it's beautiful, and it never surprises me. And if someone does whenever someone makes a radical change, I think it's cool, even if they were like adamant about saying something else before,
Sure.
because we've all been there, right?
Yeah. I don't think anyone needs to make an excuse for it. It's like, that was true in that moment, and we're not in that moment anymore. That's the way it is, I guess.
Yeah. So right on. Have you ever had a mystical experience?
I mean, yeah. I mean, generally speaking, I guess, I don't know specifically, maybe not. I definitely was very spiritual at one point, and it was tied into a lot of substances too. And I kind of stopped doing all of that. Honestly, I was just a little bit too old to like try to become a shaman or something like with the ayahuasca. I just, like, by the time my friends started doing that, I was like, I'm out of that already,
Did you do that? Did you try ayahuasca?
No, I never tried it.
Were you doing other psychedelics when you were in the spirituality?
I'm a deadhead, if that answers any questions for anybody out there. I'm wearing dead shorts right now, actually.
I went to the Dead concert, one and only Dead concert, the Dead & Co. In 2023. Mm-hmm. They were here at Starplex. And I got like contact high on LSD, I think.
Yeah. No. Okay. So when I
really think I did.
I believe you, because I think I went to like 30 shows, and there was at least 10 that I was stone cold sober. And so like, there's this whole thing where you go from the parking lot to the crowd to walking into the venue, the show, and then you walk back out of the crowd and you're your car. From the moment I got to the crowd all the way through to the point where I got to my car, I felt like I was tripping.
Yeah.
Because it was like a collective consciousness that was just there's so many people that were doing it. And like, it's cool. I think Alpine Valley, I think that's where I was. I'm not sure exactly now. But no, I was really high in Alpine Valley. It was definitely not. Anyway, point is that like, yeah, like I believe that, I agree. And I've had that experience, but. Yeah.
Shakedown Street is what they call it, right? Oh, yeah. That's what happened. I was walking through there, and all of a sudden it's like everybody's like morphing, like tracers on everyone. Like, what in the hell is going on
real
right now?
Visuals even?
Yeah, I swear.
Wow.
I was on ketamine too, so I mean that may have had something to do with it. But
yeah, that's not usually a trippy thing though, right? I don't really know ketamine.
I went through a ketamine phase that I started doing to really just explore it as a psychedelic, because it still is pretty popular, and like doctors are prescribing it to help with addiction. And I have done ayahuasca, and I feel like ketamine was like ayahuasca light. So you could kind of get there for an hour. So it was really, like I had a lot of downloads and meditations doing it. And I wound up becoming addicted to it, I would say, and doing it all the time. And I was using it for meditation, and I would really I came up with the idea of the name of this podcast and the questions that I ask. Like, these are ketamine meditations, where after like, boom, I'm going to go write this down. Like, there's lots of these aha moments that occurred. And then this was during a phase of my life that I had started drinking again for a year. And then when I quit drinking again, I kept doing the ketamine, and then it kind of became an alcohol replacement. Sure. So if I went to a concert or something, it's like, oh, I'll do a little ketamine to take the edge off. And if you do a little bit, it's very eerily similar to alcohol, which I did not know when I started doing ketamine, because when I started ketamine, I had not drank in 6.5 years. And 2 months later, I decided that I am okay to start drinking again.
Oh, interesting.
And it wasn't like anything absolutely insane happens when I start drinking, but it just becomes an annoying like crutch or whatever, like a weight on my shoulders that I have to deal with in life that's there that wasn't there. And then you don't feel it at first. And then you recognize and like, oh shit, I got to quit again. My life will become much more peaceful.
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress, but yeah, I did a little bit of ketamine, but I was kind of a pro on ketamine. So none of this stuff ever happened until I walked into Shakedown Street, and all of a sudden, I mean, I was on it when I pulled into the parking lot in the Uber, but it was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, Grateful Dead concert is a mystical experience.
Yes. Okay. So then I've had many. Yeah. Cause when my first Dead show was my first hit of acid. And I didn't really know the music that well. I thought Bob Dylan was on stage for Knockin' on Heaven's Door Encore. He was not. Yeah, I imagine that one. It was, it was wild. I mean, I remember there was a lot that, oh yeah. Okay. What am I talking about? That night, me and my buddy, like after the show that was in Alpine Valley, Wisconsin. And we ended up in a cornfield. And we were sitting across each other, and he would say something, I would say, we're talking back and forth, and then started cutting each other's words off, and to the point where I was like, oh, we're not using words anymore. And then I remember looking down at our conversation from above, like I've left my body and went down. I mean, again, I was on LSD, so you can tell me that it didn't happen, but that happened for me,
Yeah, I believe that can happen through meditation, and that is my drug of choice these days.
I need to get back into it. I did take a TM class, and I was sort of into it, and then life got in the way, and I still have my mantra in my head that I've never spoken out loud, so I need to just get back into it.
Yeah, I've done TM, and then Dr. Joe Dispenza is someone you should look into, and he really took my meditation practice to the next level, where I experience like mystical things occurring, like you're on the heaviest psychedelics you've ever taken in your life just through breath work. Because I have a practice that's a combination of like Tai Chi and other hybrid of other like soft martial arts, like internal martial arts, energy work, and then breath work and meditation. And that really are just... It's my drug of choice, and it is like a drug, and it's like the best drug you've ever had.
Well, honestly, if TM did that for me, I probably would have done it more, but I didn't never have that experience with it. So
yeah, that didn't happen. It didn't happen until I started really practicing breath work for literally hours a day for years, and then it clicks. But it takes like a very disciplined, dedicated practice. But once you get there, then you have like Wim Hof. Have you ever heard of him? He's a breathwork guru from the Netherlands, and he like does cold plunges and breath work, and went to one of his seminars, but he says, get high on your own supply.
Right. Yeah.
Because you can activate all of these things in your brain, like DMT, like you get from ayahuasca. You can just do that through meditation.
Yeah. I mean, that's been one of my struggles in life is patience, and I'm better, but this sounds like something that would help with that, but also would have to get past it to get there,
Yeah, I think I went to his conferences, and that's when he has so many people go on stage that are like, I went to the doctor, I had cancer, I was going to die, no one could help me. I started doing this, and it went away.
Wow.
I couldn't walk. I came to a retreat with Joe Dispenza. Now I can walk. Boom, like 100 people getting on stage at all these conferences, and you hear it. I was broke. I started coming here, and then I got $1 million. And that at the time, my driver was money. I was just gotten divorced, and I like was in kind of just like felt tight financially, and I wanted to make a lot of money. So I went like, that's what was my motivation. Like I'm going to meditate money into my life. And I had great success in business, but after you get divorced, you kind of like start from scratch. And I'm still taking care of my ex-wife and my kids. And I got like, I got to get back on the horse and ride. Right. And so I went there, and I was just focusing on abundance and manifesting lots of money. And then I got home, and my accountant called and said, you overpaid taxes by 6 figures last year.
Oh my God. Wow.
And I'm like, what?
How is that even possible?
What? How? I didn't even ask.
Yeah.
I didn't want to know.
No.
I was just like, cool. Send it.
Yeah.
Send it.
Yeah.
And then I've gone to like 7 since then. And yeah, it works.
Yeah. No, that's funny because I've never been like a huge, well, I used to not be a huge person of like manifesting your own destiny, but I remember I'd already moved here and I was already a photographer and I was like, you know, trying to figure out how to get to the next level. And I went back to California. Like I used to like go to my ex's and watch the dogs and the horses. We had horses. It was pretty cool. And I remember meditating, like taking a walk with the dogs and meditating. And I was like, I'm going to come up with a mantra. And like at first I was like, money, money, money. I was like, no, that's not right. Bring me the work. That was my mantra. Bring me the work.
Yeah.
Bring me the work. I literally got a call when I got back from the walk. It wasn't a photo work, but it was money work. And then it hasn't stopped, you know? So that, I guess, you know, the manifestation.
Another thing I learned at a Tony Robbins retreat is I create more value than anyone expects. And to repeat that over and over. And he said to do it like 10 times in the morning, 10 times at lunch, and 10 times in the afternoon. And then when I did that, I would think of ideas for my business, like to create value for my customers. And then I'd call them excited, like, oh, I just thought of this new thing that we can be doing to like really like save you money or improve your efficiencies or whatever. It was like business related, but it's just that focus on value instead of money, value creation.
Exactly.
And that's what you're saying.
Well, and then that leads to this question. I'm going to turn it on you and you turn it back on me. But like, are you successful?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That was easy. Yeah. It took me a minute to figure it out. And like, actually I was talking to this girl who's younger on like not as far on this journey and, you know, success. I remember moving to Hollywood and being like, oh, I want to get discovered. And it's like, even if you get discovered and you get your one role, that is not success because that's one role. You need to have a body of work. You need to be consistently working. And I don't know, I guess if you want to make a mark, you got to do even more than that.
I'll tell you what success is to me is to live in a state of peace more so than a state of chaos. Mm-hmm. And if I'm got more percentage, like a higher percentage of peace than chaos, because that's all there is, one or the other, then I'm successful.
Yeah. Okay.
And that includes balance, right? Like, because that, for me to be in a peaceful state, I need to be engaged with my children. I need to be healthy. I need to have money to pay the bills so I'm not stressing. Like those are good. Get good sleep.
Yeah.
Like I love doing this podcast brings me peace. I can't explain why. I felt driven to do it and I love doing it. Sure. So like taking, like making decisions on how I spend my time on things that will lead to peace over chaos. And then that just becomes this way of living where it's like, is this going to be peace or chaos? Like, is this client peace or chaos? Like, is it worth the money? No, maybe not.
Yeah.
And then like the relationships, I'm single and I'm dating and that's kind of like, oh, the chaos alarm's going off and namaste. Like, and we can be friends, but like, I don't have time for the drama.
Sure.
And then you get allergic to the chaos once you start like focusing on the peace so much. Mm-hmm. And I feel successful just because I've realized this importance for me personally, and I pay attention to it. And the more I pay attention to it, the more the peace side compounds.
Right. Interesting. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's it's a crazy path that we're on because like sometimes I don't even know why I'm doing it and I just go out the door. Like I've gone through a lot of stuff in the last few years and I have canceled a few. I guess for me, success is turning jobs down.
Yeah.
Being like feeling okay that it's like, I don't need to do that tonight. Like
saying no.
Did it. Yeah.
Saying no is like one of the greatest ways to get to success.
Yeah. It really is. It's like people, cause like as an artist, especially in like what I do, and there's certain jobs where when you start, you're like, oh my God, I can't turn anything down because if I do, then I won't get asked again. Or if I do, I'll miss this opportunity that leads to this opportunity. But the truth is like wherever you are, if you're putting in that passionate work and you're being true to the client and to your artistic whatever, like you'll be fine. Whatever comes out of it will come out of it. Maybe nothing other than a paycheck, maybe just a good photo, but it's something,
Yeah. What's your favorite restaurant?
Man, I don't really have one. I mean, I guess when I'm in East Dallas, I will go to Jimmy's Italian to get their tuna, but I don't make it down there that much anymore.
Jimmy's is good.
Yeah.
That counts.
Yeah, okay. I mean, when I lived in East Dallas, I would go there a lot.
Yeah. What about a book? Are you a reader?
Not as much of late, and I think that has to do with my eyesight getting worse and worse, which is great as a photographer, let me tell you. But I was thinking about this, like an influential book early on, like when I used to think I was the Messiah or something. I read Illusions, or maybe that's why I thought I was Messiah. You know that book?
No.
It's, the guy that wrote Jonathan Livingston Seagull. God, his name is escaping me now, but Illusions. And the quote in it, I used to say it all the time, and it still holds true. It's like, argue your limitations, and they're yours. Like if you want a problem, you can have it. I know so many people where I'm trying to help them, and like everything I say, they're like, well, I can't do this because of that or because of this. And I used to be like that, and I still am like that in moments, but it's like, sure, fine, go ahead, have all those problems. They're yours. You can have them. But like, you could also choose to not make it a problem and just do it,
Yeah. It's like giving advice to your ex-wife. You can do it, but you're never going to win. It's just better sometimes to just let them do what they want to do.
I mean, that's true.
Just say
a lot of people, right?
Yeah. That was like a good teacher for me, because you go from being married and I was the type of husband, I'm sure, that thought I was the Messiah of advice, like life advice. Right. You should do this, you should do that. And you can kind of get away with it when you're married if you want to get divorced. And then when you're divorced, definitely no interest in what you're saying, hun. Bye. Like, I'm in charge fully now.
That's funny,
yeah. So do you have a favorite quote?
Well, that was it. I mean, that or no try, only do, Yoda.
No try,
There's
only
no try,
do.
only do. Like, don't try. Like, I want to try to do that. It's like, don't try to do it. Just do it.
That's a quote. Yeah. Man, that's good.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah. And I mean, again, these are things that I've been quoting for years, but I've only recently started living them. Like I'm not, it's not like I don't make excuses. It doesn't take much to get me to not go out. In fact, it's a struggle to go out these days. I go out more than I did when I was in my 20s for all the shows I shoot. But, I don't know. I feel like it's my responsibility. Like if at least one of there's a handful of photographers that I feel like as long as one of us is covering this event, it's fine. Like it doesn't have to be me, as long as because it's like, it's more important. Some of these things, like, Chris Holt's release show, there's like 10 of us there or whatever. Fine, cool. But like, sometimes it's just me, sometimes it's just Waffle, sometimes it's just Brooks Burris, and I just, it all needs to be covered in my opinion. So.
Yeah, that's cool. I think that's all I got. And where do people track you down?
I'm pretty easy to find. There's the Dallas Famous podcast, which is everywhere. Then the photo is Drulio Photo. I will do a little plug. As busy as I am, if you're in a band and you want like promo photos or something like just hit me up. I love going to the studio. Like, I think people think I'm so busy, they just don't ask. So I'm going to at least put it out there that like, you can ask. I may be too busy, but if I'm not, I'm going to do it. So. Are
you still doing music videos?
Yeah, totally.
Right on.
I haven't done one in a while, and I've got about 5 people that said they want to do it. And like, it's just, it's just a little harder to coordinate, but like it's like I'm doing it usually just me, and it's not that expensive. It's not like I'm not doing $2,500 videos. So, it's reasonable for people that don't have a huge budget.
I'd love your perspective on this. It's something I've noticed, and that is like the music videos that I really enjoy seeing today, and it seems to be a trend, are like the band like playing, and it seems like they're just like in the studio jamming, but the song is like actually recorded.
Sure.
But it's not like some storytelling movie of a music video, which was popular when we were growing up. Like, there's this new thing now that people want the more like real. Like, I want to see like don't tell a story and pretend like you're singing as an actor to someone else like that.
I agree.
It just doesn't seem like any of my favorite artists are doing that anymore. And they're just moving to like, watch us jam in this honky tonk or whatever, or
I mean,
studio.
I'm a little bit more psychedelic. So my favorite thing is to do the band playing, but like with things happening. Like I did one with Children of Indigo where they're like popping in and out and, you know, just like simple effects, but they're still just playing. There's not anybody like trying to tell a story. It's funny. I did one where I was like, the artist, I won't say the name, but I was like, do you want this to be a narrative or you just want it to be, you know, visual stuff? And he's like, I just want it to be visual. And I was like, okay, you got a lot of specific things. I don't want to get there. And then you say, okay, let's do the narrative. And then what happens? We get there and he's like, let's do a narrative. And I was like, no way. We're doing visuals. Like, we talked about this. There's no time to come up with a story right now. And it still came out really well, I thought. But,
yeah, that's cool. You can go back and do a narrative one next.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing a new album with John Pedigo at the helm. And so we'll have to like talk about potentially doing a psychedelic music video.
Definitely, let's do that.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I just saw John at the thing. Yeah,
yeah.
We've been talking about him coming on, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll do it." Well, actually, he wasn't. It was through somebody else. But like the word was like, "Well, he's got to finish the studio first." And then he pops up on Jason Janik's podcast, and I'm like, "Okay, well, I guess." Not, you know.
He's my best friend, and we've known each other since kindergarten, and he is like one of the busiest people that I know.
Wow.
I'm trying to record with him. I'm like, dude, I'm going over there at 9:00 tomorrow morning to just go like squeeze in like a couple hours before I have to go out of town.
I think the O's were on that Chevy show before I joined.
That makes sense.
That's what it was. Yeah. I didn't, but I wasn't on that season, so I didn't meet him till after. But then I kept saying, "Yeah, I was on that show like after you," and so that's how we got to meet.
Yeah. Good times. Well, Andrew, thanks for stopping by, my brother.
Thanks for having me. Well, I'll return the favor next season with you, I'm sure.
I'd love that.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks for trucking on. Peace.